Hello, everyone. This is Atmanityananda. I welcome all of you, uh, devotees of Babaji from all over the world. I am happy that I have this opportunity today to share with you my experience with Babaji. Babaji is my beloved teacher, my beloved master, which have changed my life totally. Uh, I could say that I am blessed. I have this opportunity to be in India and especially to have the opportunity to practice in the ashrams of Babaji, especially in Hairakhan, and also to Chilianola, in Chilianola. Uh, so I want to share this experience. Uh, I think this can be useful somehow to for you. And also, I want to share with you my experience about the practice related to the sadhana that Babaji gave us to follow in a daily basis. And really, this sadhana, this practice, I I went through for 10 years in India, changed my life, have changed my life. So first of all, I would like to tell you who am I as a person. I'm from Greece, and I have been born in a small village in the north of Greece, and I could say that from my childhood, my teenage, I was interested about spirituality, what life is, about after death life, what is the meaning of life. And also, I was very curious about psychology, how our mind, our psyche functions. So I have these questions from my early life, and for some reasons, I I didn't start my spiritual life very early for various reasons. I want to say also about my uh, life that I was I have worked as a physical education teacher in the public schools of Greece. I have worked in various all levels of education, primary schools, high schools, and university as well. So I have a very great experience on teachings, giving teachings on physical education, and also I was uh, coach of tennis coach, tennis player, and tennis coach. This is my worldly life, I could say. After about 30s, I won't speak a lot about this part of my life. When I reached the age of 30, that time I was working in Athens, the capital of Greece. Although I was reading a lot of spiritual books, I couldn't understand what is really spiritual life and spiritual practice. I was confused and I was seeking a school, a spiritual school or a spiritual center to have the opportunity to understand what really spiritual life means and to follow a more systematic way of practice. And also, together with this, I that time of 30s, my 30 when I was 30 years old, I passed through a very deep and strong existential crisis. I couldn't find any more meaning in my life. Although I was, as I said, uh, teacher in high schools and primary schools, I had a good job, good salary. I have friends. I was playing tennis. Uh, Externally, my life was quite well. All things was quite well. But Jai Krishna, Om Namah Shivaya, Bole Baba Ki Jai. Although my external life was quite, all things was going well, I could say, but internally I was very in crisis because I couldn't find any meaning in my life. And I was thinking how will be my life the next years. I was 30, and without having a meaning in my relations, the way I was living my life, and what will happen? I will be married, and then I will have children, and then I will wait to uh, how to say this, to have my pension, and I will wait to die. So all this create to me a very uncomfortable emotional state that I couldn't stand. So I was praying. This happened 1992, 1991, in the year 1991 and 1992. And I was desperate. And somehow I found my first spiritual school in Athens, which is known as Gnostic movement. It is a teaching based on various teachings, Hinduism as well, Buddhism, Hinduism, Theosophia, and the founder was Samael Aumber. So in 1992, I began to have regular classes and practices in this spiritual center, which was called Gnostic movement or Gnostic Christian movement as well. And for 10 years, I was in this center, and I dedicated, I could say, my life in this way of living. But for various reasons, after 10 years, I don't speak a lot about this, but it was a preparation. What I feel now, what I see now, it is that these 10 years in the Gnostic movement, spiritual movement, Gnostic movement, it was somehow a preparation for me to come to India and have this opportunity to meet Babaji, not Babaji himself, but to connect with his energy. For me, the relation with Babaji, since I didn't meet Babaji, it is an inner relation, a relation of heart and consciousness. So, after 10 years in the Gnostic movement, I had to leave this organization. And after 10 years of practice, of dedication, of course, I was practicing according to my capacity. So I had a little experience. So I don't know how much. What I felt is that I was trying my best. However, when we start something new, although we do the best we can, this cannot give us very concrete results or high results, great results. That's why when I left this organization, Gnostic movement, I was again almost in the same situation I was before I started this school, this spiritual school. Bole Baba Ki Jai. So I was also in desperate, and I was praying a lot, heartfully. I was praying to God as the way I feel and I uh, perceive God. Please help me to find a new teacher, a new movement, something to help me, because I felt that after 10 years of practicing in the Gnostic movement, I have not passed, I didn't make any real progress, a very significant progress. And although I had a lot of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, and although I have learned uh, some very important practices of meditation, working with with elimination of the egoic tendencies, and doing also mantras and self-awareness or self-remembrance, self-observation, moment to moment. And we had a very special practice, which I will share with you, dying moment by moment, using the prayer to the Divine Mother, to the Shakti, Mahashakti. We had this practice. I knew this practice that I continue to use even after I met Babaji. And this practice, this prayer that I use to eliminate the egoic tendencies, is one of my best practices, together with mantra, Om Namah Shivaya and other mantras, are the center, the nucleus of my practice, the center of my practice. Repetition of mantras and prayer to the divine Shakti. Bole Baba Ki Jai, Bole Baba Ki Jai. So, after 10 years in the Gnostic movement, I felt also desperate because I didn't make any real progress, significant progress, and I was also I wanted a great teacher or a real teacher to help me to uh, advance in this spiritual journey, in inner spiritual journey. I was crying. Sometimes I was crying. After my job, I was working uh, I was living that at that time. I was living in Athens. I was working in Athens in a school, and near here in my place was a small forest, not forest like this park. We can say a great park, and there was a lot of trees, and it was like to live in a village, not in a city. And I was there and praying and crying, please, God, help me to find something, a teacher, most of all, to help me to continue my inner journey, my spiritual journey. And after 2 or 3 months, my prayers was heard, and I was this day I will never forget. I'm a little emotional. I am very moved by remembering this day. Om Namah Shivaya. So I was in my home, and that moment I was divorced. I have divorced with my ex-wife. I have a very difficult relation with my wife, and I was these moments I was living alone in my home. So, and one day I listened to the door, tuck 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 tuck. Who is this? And then it was uh, I cannot say that was a friend of mine, but a person that we have a relation, but he was not a very close friend. And this person, Kostas, se llama, it is called, is his name, Kostas Konstantinos, had been in Hairakhan before some weeks. He visited Hairakhan, the ashram in Hairakhan. So he came in my house, although we have not a relation. This is a miracle of Babaji. Babaji works in a very mysterious way. So I was sitting in my house, in my living room. I don't remember exactly what I did at that time. And this known person, okay, friend, but not close friend, came in my room. Very, I could say, I don't know this word, rust. He rust in my room, and very quickly started to speak to me about Babaji. I was to India and I found a great being, Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji, and he told me he referred to Babaji as Mahavatar Babaji. I met the Babaji, Hairakhan Babaji. Mahavatar Babaji appeared again in Hairakhan, and I was there. It's very miraculous, very wonderful place, and many things. But since I didn't know nothing about Babaji, I was a little bit surprised, but and I couldn't understand why he speaks so with so much enthusiasm and about Babaji. So I was listening to him uh, calmly, tranquil, and I was intending to understand what is this place, Hairakhan, what is this teacher, who is this at the end. He stayed in my room no more than 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. It was, if I remember well, and I think I'm not wrong, it was the first time that this person came in my home, and only he came in my home to speak about Babaji. We didn't say anything about anything else. And in reality, he made a monologue. I was listening to him, and he was speaking to me very quick to tell me all these things that he passed in India. But I couldn't understand anything since I have no any idea about India, any idea about Babaji. At the end, in the end, he gave me the book in English, The Teachings of Babaji. And when he finished his speech, tell me, take this book. Okay. And he left my home. So I took the book in my hands and then I started to see various pages. I can say that my English is not, I have not a very high level of English. And at that time, less than I have now. So I tried to learn something, but what was the thing that caught my attention? It was a photo of Babaji. I don't have this photo here. You can see back. This is my temple. My small because I have a very small room. You can see Babaji. This is one of my beloved photos of Babaji. I have also all the photos of other of the divine Shakti, Hairakhan Desvari, and other teachers that helped me in this process, spiritual process. So I have seen a photo of Babaji. It goes like this. It is a photo that Babaji stands up on his feet. I think with the hands like this, and a very white robe, cloth. It was so, this image, this photo, this appearance of Babaji, it made a very strong impression in my mind and most of all in my heart. And I felt this is uh, the call to go to India and meet Babaji, not meet Babaji himself, because Babaji left his body at in the 1984. And this happens, what I say now, this day happened in the year 2002. 2002. So after this day that this friend gave me this book of Babaji, and I made a copy that I put in my wall, so that to see Babaji every day in my living room. I put a photocopy of the Babaji, uh, this special photo, so that to see him every day, and for a lot of time, much time every day. And I was thinking how to go to India. I was preparing my first trip in India, and I have some information from this friend, but most information gave me another known person which have a great, strong relation with India and with the Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba, this Greek man who has a bookstore in Athens. He have visited many times India, and he gave me some more informations how to go to India, some basic informations. In reality, this information did not help me a lot. So my first visit trip and visit in India, it was a little bit how to say, an adventure. Because it's a totally different world from my country, Greece. Greece, it is called in India, from Indians, Yunnan. It is a European country, Yunnan, in the southeast of Europe, close to Italy and close to Turkey. It is a very famous uh, country because we have a very great civilization. Uh, it is known, all the philosophers, Greek philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, and Pythagoras. The uh, art was the political also development of Greece at that time was very great in relation to other countries. We had a very great civilization and great philosophers, art, etc. Uh, so my country is in the north, in the southeast of Europe, and the life in Greece is totally different from India. So I was shocked the first time I get out of the aeroplane in the Delhi, in the airport of Delhi, New Delhi. I was surprised what I saw. And later, when I was in Delhi, in Pahargan, the most famous place, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Bole Baba Ki Jai. When I was in the Pahargan, in the center of New Delhi, I was a little bit lost. A very, I can express in words this experience, my first experience in India. But fortunately, Babaji works in the subtle levels, and fortunately, one Indian, uh, I don't remember what he was. I think he was the one who has a car, red car shop, and he was the officer of the taxi I took from the airport. And he told me, don't stay in New Delhi, just go outside. So I have in my mind to my first, I have, before go to the Babaji ashram in Hairakhan, I had in my mind to make a pilgrimage. So this friend that has this bookstore told me to go to Yamunotri, Gangotri, Badrinath, and Kedarnath, which is the most, or some of the most famous sacred places in India, in Himalayas. So so I decided before go to the Babaji's ashram to go to this pilgrimage. So I first, after Delhi, I went to Rishikesh. I passed 3 days in Rishikesh. I visited the ashram of Sivananda, but I didn't understand anything. It was my first travel. I have no any knowledge about Indian teachers. Sorry, I have to put my jacket because I feel a little bit cold. So I visited the ashram of Sivananda. I have this nice experience in Rishikesh. And then I took a taxi from Rishikesh to visit, first of all, Yamunotri. I passed 2 days, I think, if I remember well, 2 days in Yamunotri. My first experience on Himalayas. Amazing. Got to say. But I don't want to focus on this. I want to focus on Babaji most. But these first experiences, it was Om Namah Shivaya. Bole Baba Ki Jai. This first experience in Himalayas on an altitude of more or less 3,000 meters altitude, and there was warm waters. I took a bath in the holy sacred waters of some I don't know fountains. Water came out from earth and was warm at 3,000 meters altitude. It was something amazing. So after that, I visited but Gagondri, we had to walk, if I remember well, 8 hours. We have to leave the car and then to go on the trip on foot. And I rode a horse, so sometime I was walking, sometime I was on horse. 8 hours, more or less 8 hours. It was my first experience, just amazing. Then I visited Gagondri for 2 days, 2 days, if I remember well. And I decided not to go to Kedarnath because I had to walk the whole day from morning to evening. So I was a little bit tired, and to walk so much time on the Himalayas appeared to me a little bit difficult because I was already tired from the walking to go to Yamunotri. So I decided to go to Badrinath because you can go to Badrinath by car. So it was quite easy. Although we have to travel with the car many hours. I don't remember. From Gangotri to go to Badrinath, it was all day trip. I don't remember. And if I remember well, I passed the night in a place in a small village. It's famous, but now I don't remember the name of this village. And then I reached Badrinath when I had a very special experience. This I can say this is my first spiritual experience in Badrinath, in the temple. In reality, in these first days in India, I was like a tourist. I have not any connection with this, with everything that I experienced in this country. It was amazing, of course. I was surprised, and I felt like I am at home. this I can also admit that my inner experience, my feeling was when I was to India for first time that it is something familiar to me, although very different, but familiar at the same time. So in Badrinath, I visited the temple, and if I remember well, it is dedicated to Narayana or Vishnu. I'm not sure. But when I was in the temple, it was July 2002. When I was in the temple of Badrinath, uh, not many people. There were many, but not so many people. And at some time they began to sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. I was just listening to them, a little bit, how to say this, embarrassed, something very different from what we do in Greek churches. We have also hymns and we do rituals to Jesus Christ, but it's very different. The whole, how to say, the way we do things in Greek Orthodox Christian churches is very different. So all these people was stand up and singing Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. I was sitting in a very alone in a place in the temple, and after some time, very close to me, enter the temple a young man, probably of the age of 20, 25 years old, very clean, very clean. His clothing was very different. His appearance, it was very different from any other people who was, or other people who was in the temple. And when I saw him, I was impressed from his appearance in the temple of Badrinath. Om Namah Shivaya. Bole Baba Ki Jai. So when I was sitting alone without to sing, I was hearing all people chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and I was quiet, surprised, like this something. And this young man, and I think sometime I stood up because they were around this status. There is in the temple there is, I don't know how they call it in India, inner place where the status of Krishna or of God uh, is. And around this they make the puja and do these rituals and sing about the deity. I think it is Krishna. I don't remember. So I stood up and I was close to these people to see what happens. What is the ritual? What they do in this status of deity? And this young man came to me and told me very silently, sing the mantra, sing the mantra, something like this. I was a little bit surprised, but I felt a little bit uncomfortable to sing because it was something new for me, very different. And I don't remember, I think that I didn't sing, I didn't chant this mantra, at least for that moment. But it was curiously that this young man who was a very different appearance, very wonderful, told me, approached to me and told me to sing the mantra. And after this, I had problems with my driver. He was drinking every night a lot of vodka, and he was drunk every night. And all the time he was asking me money. I don't know why to drink. I don't know. So I was a little bit disturbed from his behavior. And then I wanted to stay a little more in Badrinath and continue my pilgrimage. But because this driver was drunk every night and I was afraid we have an accident, so I decided to leave him and take another taxi and go straight to Hairakhan Babaji ashram. But from that place, Badrinath, the first ashram we can meet is the ashram in Raniket, Chileanola ashram of Babaji. I think it's also many hours. We need one day, all day. It's an all day, 1 day travel from Badrinath to Chileanola ashram in Raniket. So I left him, my driver, the taxi. I took another taxi and I traveled all the way towards Chileanola. And outside Chileanola, there is a hotel. So I went there to leave my baggages. And then I went to the ashram next morning. I don't remember well. I have passed 20 years. So I visited the ashram in Chileanola, and this was my first experience is this. When I entered to the ashram, to the outside, I felt like my home. I felt this special energy, Babaji's energy, and I felt like my home. And I was thinking, why I spend so much time on the mountains, all these places, while here in this place in Chileanola, the energy is so high, so beautiful, so wonderful. And I felt this is the place for me. This is after this trip on the Himalayas, on the mountains, when I entered in the ashram, in the area of ashram, I felt like my home. This is my destiny. I felt it very clearly. Then the afternoon, I spoke with Pratibha. I don't remember well, but in ashram of Chileanola, there was two women that rule the ashram, we could say. Okay, Muniraj Maharaj was the leader, but they had to do all the jobs in the ashram, especially Pratibha. If you see me, I send you my love. And Lakshmi, which is from Spain, Catalonia. And I forgot to say, although I'm Greek, now I'm living in Spain. I live in Barcelona. I have changed my living place since 2012. So for 11 years, I live here in Barcelona, in Spain. I don't live anymore in Greece. So I met Pratibha to arrange all these things, necessary things to register in the ashram and have a room, so that to leave the hotel and live in the ashram. So just wonderful experience. And then they told me that I have to go every morning, the basic program of the ashram, the schedule of the ashram. We have to do the morning, evening arti, to do some karma yoga, all these things. In reality, I didn't want to do karma yoga at that time, first days, because I was in a very new place. So I think they gave me 3 days of free karma yoga. Because when you are in a new place, what you want is to experience, to know what is this, what is that. So to do karma yoga from the very beginning, it's not the best way to. Anyway, I had these 3 free time days, and there I met a man from United States or from Canada. I'm not sure. There are not many people in that time, July of 2002, there are not many people in the Chileanola ashram. Very few people. I thought, except the Indians, of course, and Pratibha and Lakshmi, there were two, three more Europeans, women from Europe, two, three more, um, and two men. One of them, this person from Canada. I will speak about him a little later because I had a very special experience. And always, at least in my life, Babaji test us to see how strong is our faith to Babaji. And Babaji passed me from various tests until to reach Chilianola, before reach Chilianola. No, before reach Chilianola, one great test. I passed it because I forgotten to tell you this. Before I come to India for first time, I had a very my ex-wife made me a very how to say to feel very bad not to go to India. You are going to die to India. You are have to have great problems. You will be sick. You will have illness. You will have disease. Don't go to India. My ex-wife. So although, but my heart was so open, and I didn't care what she said to me. But this was happening almost every day. Probably she was very jealous of me. She didn't want to come to India. It has very great jealousy. It was very jealous to me. And she was frightening me. Don't go. You're going to die. You're going to die to the mountains. And at the last days before before taking the airplane to India, doubts come in my mind because every day I had this: don't go, you'll have problems. So somehow some doubts and some fear came in my heart. But my heart was at the same time open to come to India and meet the ashrams of Babaji. So I decided at the end, if I'm going to die to India, it's okay. Because I was so desperate to continue living a worldly life, and I couldn't stand this way of living. So I said, if it's really what my ex-wife says, that I'm going to die to India, it's okay. I will go. So this was my first test of Babaji. Then I will tell you about the second test. So after my first day in Chilanola Ashram, I went to the first arti in the very nice temple of Babaji in Chilianola, and I participated to the arti for first time. I was sitting and I was hearing how to chant the arti because I didn't know anything. How? So, and moreover, all this was trades to me. It was something new. I just have to process all these experiences in my mind and heart, and to adapt all these experiences somehow. And at the same time, my heart was open. This is my home. This is what I have to follow for my in my life for the next years to come. So I was listening to art. It was very wonderful. Pratibha normally was playing the harmonium, and singing. And Lakshmi comes to me and say me, take this small book of arti, take this and chant. First time, take this and chant. I felt a little bit embarrassed and not offended, but a very strange feeling to chant directly first time. How can I chant these Sanskrit words in the words? How to do this? And Not only this, because in reality it was my first day. I was not a disciple of Babaji. Why to do this? I didn't understand this. But this is Babaji Lila. This is the game. Babaji Lila. So I took the booklet, but I was seeing what says, but I didn't understand, so I was only listening. But my heart was open. So from the second day, I started little by little when they were singing, chanting, to see what the words of the arti. And from the third day, I was a little bit more open and I was more participating to say these hymns about Babaji and Hairakhan Babaji. But I was enjoyed. I enjoyed very much the arty, the rhythm and the whole event. I enjoyed very much. So little by little, I had started to chant the arty little by little, and I was very happy. Although I didn't know many things, I felt that I'm at home. I enjoy everything. I say that I'm sincere. I say that I was a little bit disturbed with the karma yoga because I was new there and I wanted to spend more time to experience things there, to learn things. So, but the karma yoga I did was something very easy, not something important. But my ego, my mind was something like this. I want more free time to relax, to enjoy the mountains of Chile and all of Raniket, to have walks on the around area of Chilianola with pine trees. Just a wonderful place. July, warm, sun. I wanted more time to enjoy the place. Okay. And then, little by little, I was engaging in the arty and I was enjoying, most of all, to sing Om Namah Shivaya. After the arty, we was singing a little bit for some time Om Namah Shivaya or other mantras. If I remember well, we chant every Monday. I think the Batukaya, Om Bam Batukaya Namaha. This was a kirtan, bhajan that Pratibha liked to chant the day of Batukaya, of Kalbera. Om Bam Batukaya Namaha, Om Bam Bam Batukaya Namaha. And I was enjoying kirtan. But unfortunately, I didn't understand that time why. But I will understand this after some time. We didn't sing a lot of time. So we did the arti, and then for 5-10 minutes Om Namah Shivaya, one Om Namah Shivaya, or two different melodies of Om Namah Shivaya. That's all. And I was enjoying this. Why so one time or 10 minutes? Why don't we don't sing? We don't sing 30 minutes or 1 hour of Namah Shivaya. But in reality, it was because Pratibha was tired. And also the pujari was to close the temple. If I remember well, we have to close the temple at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. But for me, all these things was something new. I didn't understand anything. But what it was to sing more Om Namah Shivaya. I enjoy more because I didn't understand Arti. Now we go to this incident, this event with this man from Canada. I have the only one person that was like me, first visiting Babaji Sriranola Ashram was this person. I don't remember his name. This man bought all or 5 books from Babaji from the ashram about Babaji. And he told me that he came in India to find Mahavatar Babaji. And then he started to say me, but this ashram you are here, Chilianola, it's not of Babaji. This Babaji here, Hairakhan Babaji, is not the real Babaji. This is the second test, my second test with Babaji. So for 1, 2 hours, this man tried to tell me that this Babaji is not Babaji. Although my heart it was so open, especially after 2, 3, 5 days, I was accustomed to the art, to the Om Namah Shivaya, to the whole life in the ashram. I enjoy so much this energy of Babaji and the ashram energy. And this man wanted to tell me that this is not Babaji, and tell me I'm going to leave this place, and I don't like this woman. I don't like Pratibha and Lakshmi because all time they want tell me to do something, so I don't like anymore to stay in this ashram. I want to leave this ashram. But I was very curious. Why say this? This man say this to me so forcefully that this Babaji is not Babaji. My heart was sure. In my heart, I was so sure that this is Babaji. And I don't care if this is Mahavatar Babaji, any Babaji. This Babaji is a very great being. This is my experience. So in reality, I didn't listen to him. Oh, I listened what he said to me, but I didn't give any importance to his words. Because my heart it was so sure in my heart I was so sure this is Babaji. Babaji is a very great being, because I felt and I feel his energy, his strong energy, and this harmonious and strong at the same time energy of Babaji and the ashram as well. So next morning I went to the arti, the morning arti, and when I returned back, normally after the arti, uh, I I returned to my room to have a little rest. I don't remember to do something, and then to continue my program in the ashram. So when I returned to the room, outside the room, I found the books of Babaji that these Canadian men had bought. They left me because they don't want to have any relation with this Babaji, and he told me that he will go to the ashram, and there is an ashram very close to Chilianola of Yogananda. There is a place where from this place is very close the very well-known cave of Babaji, known from the book of Yogananda, the autobiography of a yogi, where he describes this sacred cave that Mahavatar Babaji passed for some years. So he told me that he will go to this ashram of Yogananda, Swami Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, and he will pass his time there, because this is the real ashram and this is the real Babaji, not Babaji, Hairakhan Babaji in Chilianola. And this was a very strong test for me, but my heart was so open and I was so sure, okay, go. I was very happy because I had these books of Babaji, so I have the opportunity and I started to read them, and especially the teachings of Babaji. Although I didn't know well English, but I could understand what the book says, more or less. Most of them I could understand because it's very simple. It is written in a very simple English language, so I could understand many things, and especially to understand that we have to do the Om Namah Shivaya mantra and other things. So he left the ashram, and I will stay there. I continue my practice sadhana in the Chilianola ashram. And while in reality I wanted to go to Hairakhan ashram, to the Hairakhan in the foothills of Kumaon Kailash mountain, and to see the river, this sacred river of Godama Ganga. My destiny was to pass most of the time in Chilianola. And then came in the ashram, in coincidence, came to four people, two men and two women from Greece, and they met me in Chilianola ashram. We met each other in Chilianola ashram. It's a very strange phenomenon as well, because very. I was only one people, not but very few, two, three, five people so from Greece knew Babaji. So it was very strange. Four people from Greece to come in the same time. I went in India in Babaji Ashram in India. Very strange. And we passed some days together. And then they told me we want to go to Hairakhan. I did it. I was so satisfying. So I was enjoying so much the energy of Chileanola Ashram, but I didn't think to go to Hairakhan. And I had only 5 days. They left from my uh, return day of from India, 5 days. And these people from Greece told me, we want to meet Muniraji and we want to go to Hairakhan Ashram. Okay, then good idea. In reality, I didn't want a lot to go to Hairakhan, nor to meet to meet Muniraji. I was so enjoying this place of Chileanola, everyday arty and singing and doing karma yoga with a lot of love flowing in me. A miracle. I cannot say many things about this. Just wonderful time, my best time. I have some photos. Ah, I will show you this photo. Uh, it is very difficult to detach. This is the photo from my first year in India. I don't know. Okay. You see how I'm so happy. You can see that how happy I was. This is my first time in Chileanola Ashram. Huh? I was so happy there. I didn't want to go anywhere. Although I wanted to go to Hairakhan Ashram, but I was so happy that first time in India in Chileanola Ashram, I didn't want to go anywhere. If I could stay forever in this ashram, I would stay. But it was not destined to stay in the ashram. Okay, and then I was okay. Go to Hairakhan Ashram, and we have only 3 days. We have not a lot of time, much time. So we remain in the ashram for 3 days in Hairakhan. I enjoyed a lot. First, uh, the taxi at that time, the road to the Hairakhan ashram was doesn't what how we say this. It was earth. So the taxi couldn't reach the ashram. So we have to leave the taxi in a place. I don't remember. There is a tea shop there. I don't remember how we call this place. It has a very special name, but I have visited many times, but I don't remember the name. We have to leave the taxi on the road, and then to go to the ashram by feet. And we took some villagers to carry our luggages, quite heavy. And I had only my small bag in my back, in my shoulder. So we started to go by feet to the Hairakhan Ashram. But I felt so strongly the energy of Babaji, so strongly. And then I left the four people. In the beginning, we walked together, these four people from Greece and five people. We got slowly together because it was a little bit sleepy. It's okay. We have to be careful. But after 5 minutes or 10 minutes of walking, I felt so strong the energy of Babaji and Hairakhan place in general that I was so impatient to be there. So I started to run. Really, I couldn't stop. I was running so quick to reach the ashram as quick as possible. And I left them. I left the villagers with the luggages. I left the other 4 people from Greece, and I was running, just running, full of happiness, inexplicable happiness, indescribable, inexplicable happiness. And this is my first visit in Hairakhan Babaji Ashram. And I felt also more strongly the energy. The energy of in Hairakhan is more strong than Chilianola. Chilianola has a very sweet energy. This is at least my experience. Chilianola Ashram has a very sweet. It's not so strong. And Muniraji, which is the one or the greatest disciple of Babaji, has a very peaceful energy. I felt every time Muniraji came in Chilianola, or I was in his house in Halvani, I felt this peaceful vibrational frequency of Muniraji. But Hairakhan has a different kind of energy, more strong. Shiva, we could say Shiva energy. And the whole place is so wonderful to take baths in the Godama Ganga, to meditate in the Duni, Mahasakti Duni, to take to meditate in the room or outside the room of Babaji, which is at the edge of the ashram. The ashram is probably if you have visited the Babaji ashram in Hairakhan, probably where is the Babaji room, the Babaji's room. And so I passed many hours. Not the first time, of course. This is my first time in India, but since 2002, I visited every year India, and sometimes 2 times. I have participated to the spring Navaratri in Hairakhan 2 times. I have this opportunity to participate to the spring Navaratris. Although the second one was I did an operation in my belly, an hernia operation, and I have much problem. But I want to come in Navaratri and pass these wonderful days. So every year, I passed more than 1 month, 40 days, sometimes 2 months in India, and especially most of the time I was in Hairakhan, and also some days in Chilianola. And I remember that I have passed. I participated to this. We make a puja, we make lingam, but I don't remember how we call this puja. We do every July. I think it's every July a special puja. It is an event of 5 days event, 1 week event. I don't remember. I have forgotten the names because I have to visit India from 2011. I passed my India. In India, I have passed 11 years from 2002 to 2011. But the ultimate times, the 3 times I visited the ashram of Ramana Maharshi in the south of India, Tiruvannamalai. Last time I visited the Hairakhan and Chilianola, it is 2008, the year 2008. And this was my last time, and it was happened in a mysterious way. It's something like Babaji told me, for you, not more here. I don't know why. Babaji Lilas. So, this is my first time in Hairakhan, and after this time, uh, I visited every year, as I said, the Hairakhan, and I passed many hours meditating in Mahasakti Duni in the cave of Babaji. I have spent a lot of time in the Babaji cave. It's a very small whole place, space. And after 2 or 3 hours I was there, it was difficult even to breathe because no so much oxygen there is in this uh, inner uh, inner place of the cave of Babaji. But the energy was so strong, and I felt that something comes from my hand and enters in my body. So this experience, this 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this 7, 8 years experience in Babaji ashrams changed my life totally. What I didn't achieved in Athens, participating for 10 years in the Gnostic spiritual Gnostic movement, I didn't mm, I didn't manage to have a significant progress. And these years I passed to India, in reality, I have spent in India more than 1.5 year. Of course, every year, 1 month or 2 months every year, but totally, I did sadhana, practice to India, 1.5 year, which I consider a very great amount of practice. I will tell you some things about this practice. Every time I was in India and practicing in Babaji ashrams, when I was back to my home in Athens, I felt that around me there is two, three more than three, 5 meters around in my aura, in my energy field, surrounding energy field. I felt this energy of Babaji and the ashram in general around me. One thing important I have noticed from the first or the second time I was in India that there is after the return in my home, I felt that my energy field was 5 meters, 5 meters around me. There is this energy of Babaji around me, and this little by little was fade out. The second thing that I noticed it is that for 1 or 2 months after the return in my home, I had this this power, this momentum to continue my practice intensively as I did the practice in the ashram. And for example, I don't remember with precise, but you can understand what I want to say. So, for example, not the first, I think the second time I went to India and I have practiced for 30, 40 days. When I was back to Greece, I felt this energy, this power in me, and I continued my practice for 2 or 3 months. I don't remember well. And after these 2 months or 3 months, I felt that this power was fade out, and I continued my practice without this special power. Something was missing after these 2, 3 months. But every year I was in India and I was practicing to Babaji ashrams, then this power followed more, continue for more time. So it was more strong, the energy, because I was more experienced and I could do the practice more uh, how to say, more effectively, to practice more effectively when I was in India to Babaji Ashram. I was spending a lot of time on practice. I didn't want to speak a lot with others. Of course, I have discussions with other people, but I was very focused because on practice, because I didn't want to spend my time. I spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and I was there because I was desperate, and I was to know what is the truth, what is God, what to change my life. So I didn't want to spend time in relations with other people from all other countries and speak a lot and lose energy all in all these situations. I was very focused, very disciplined in my practice, and because of this, my life has changed totally. So every time I went to India and I was back to my home, I felt this power and this energy to help me continue my practice in my home. And this was more powerful after a year. And I want to mention another special thing about my uh, contact with Babaji. Here I visited Babaji. I found in the in the library of the ashram a book of Swami Sivananda about Japanama. Japanama is a repetition of mantra. And since Babaji gave us this practice of repeating the mantra constantly to become our mantra a habit and natural like our breath. So I was curious to read this book of Swami Sivananda, and this was also an opportunity for me to learn English, little more English. So I started to read this book, and I have this also this is inspiration and aspiration to go again to Sivananda Ashram to practice them and to read more of the books of Sivananda. So a way that Babaji helped me is to meet Sivananda and to evaluate the importance of his knowledge, the Sivananda knowledge about practice, because Sivananda have written more or less 300 books. And I can say that I studied, not I have read, I have studied, not all, of course, but at least half of them, 100 or more of the books I have read, but I especially focused on some of them. And I studied them, not only I read them. And of course, I study, not so much now, Bhagavad Gita. And from Sivananda, I learned about Sankaracharya, Adi Sankaracharya, and the teaching, the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. So Babaji helped me in many ways. First of all, I found my teacher, my beloved teacher, and I'm so happy. I'm connected. I'm still connected with the Babaji energy, with Babaji's energy. And he helped me to, by his energy, through his energy, his energy and the energy of the ashram changed my energy. I admit this. Without this, I could be where I am now. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful I met Babaji. I'm with Babaji. My life changed totally because of Babaji energy and connection. I'm so grateful and blessed at the same time. And Babaji helped me not only through his energy, but also through his guidance, a guidance I didn't understand, to meet Sivananda and his teachings and learn about Advaita Vedanta, and then to deepen in the knowledge of Hinduism and especially the practical aspect, because I don't like so much theories. I'm a practical man. I like practice and I like to know, but to know all these things that are necessary to know myself, not to have a knowledge, like a professor, and have knowledge theoretical and to speak through this knowledge. No, what I want is practice. What I want to see uh, changes in my life, transformation, and this is what has great value. Knowledge in itself is something I don't know. It is important. I don't say not. It is not important, but in itself cannot change our lives. What changes our lives is practice, and knowledge is necessary to practice with effectively and understand what we practice to give importance to the most important aspects of practice, etc. So Babaji helped me to meet to understand, we say, Sivananda, and although my practice is mainly what Babaji suggested, repetition of mantra, I do the arti, I do karma yoga, and Om Namah Shivaya. My practice, it was enriched by the teachings of Swami Shivananda, and later by the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, like Sankaracharya, and especially the teachings of Sankaracharya, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and Ramana Maharshi. So, Babaji, I can say this is my understanding and feeling that Babaji helped me to have this opportunity to connect with Advaita Vedanta and the teachings of great teachers like Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta. Babaji himself said many times, seek the wisdom of the sages. You can ask sages. I don't know, something like this. I don't remember well. Although to some of his devotees said him that why do you seek knowledge and you are not satisfied with what I give you? In reality, Babaji was a very it is very difficult to understand how Babaji guide us. It's very difficult. It is a very unique, I could say, spiritual being, of course, and teacher as well. And sometimes I think that if I was there, the moment that Babaji was alive in Hairakhan, I think that I could not be able to understand him and to follow what he said, because at that time I was 20 years old. I have no experience, nothing. So I don't know if I was able to listen to Babaji and understand Babaji and do what Babaji said. So I can say that I'm a little bit happy that I'm connected with Babaji, but Babaji guides me from the inside. I don't know, but all my experience with Babaji is a celebration. So you see, Babaji is everywhere. If you see, in all places in my room, I have photos of Babaji. You cannot see now. This is my a very small room. I live. It's very small. But if you see that I have Babaji everywhere. Of course, another thing is that Babaji, I repeat Babaji's name. I don't repeat only Om Namah Shivaya. I'm so grateful that Babaji gave me this opportunity to be with him, although to meet him in my heart, not physically, and give me this opportunity to experience and his energy changed my life. Of course, I did a lot of practice. I'm a very disciplined person. I try very hard to do what I decide to do. I'm very hard worker, a very how to say diligent practitioner. I do practice with perseverance, with determination. I don't give up. But I admit that without the energy of Babaji, I couldn't make all these things I have achieved. And most of all, I have my mind and heart have transformed radically. I'm now in a position to enjoy the peace and the plenitude of our divine essence. And also, Babaji helped me to, as I said, to reach Advaita Vedanta, and through Advaita Vedanta, through Nisargadatta Maharaj. And Nisargadatta Maharaj helped me to awaken to my true self, to our divine essence, my divine, our divine essence, because divine essence is one. And the inner being in all of us is the one universal consciousness. What we call God or Brahman or Parabrahman or Paramatman is consciousness. It's formless, timeless, causeless, eternal, immortal existence. It's beauty, it is bliss, it is plenitude, it is peace without limits. And because Babaji gave me this, his blessing, his energy, the faith, because my faith was became more strong with Babaji. Because all of us, we have doubts, we have fear about ourselves, about life, about what will happen. But this energy of Babaji and this Babaji sets in an occasion, and it is written in his book, in the book of teaching of Babaji, that I give you my, I don't remember exactly. Okay, if I make a mistake, forgive me, because I don't remember in which place, in which book it's written this, but it is of Babaji. I give you my Abhayadan, that you are protected from, I give you what you need to continue your practice, and you live in life without fear. Like I can say I had a lot of fear. Now, with the grace of Babaji and of my practice, of course, through my practice, and of course, with the grace of Babaji, the energy of Babaji, this fear has been diminished. It is still there, but it's so small after all these years of inner transformation and development. Of course, egoic tendencies are alive. I cannot say that have died totally, but they have been diminished greatly. But this connection with Babaji, this energy of Babaji, always give me this power, strength in me that I can uh, how to say, I can cope, I can uh, address any difficulty, any adversity in my life. And I have passed various difficulties. But this faith that Babaji protects me, and this connection also with my inner uh, divine essence, gives me this power, this strength to uh, handle all difficulties and adversities of life, of any kind, difficulties from illnesses, diseases, problems of health, or external difficulties of any kind. This inner strength gives me this, make me strong, and I can pass through these experiences without losing myself in them. And after the awakening happened in the year 2008, uh, in January of 2008. I have this, how to say, blessed to realize that I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm consciousness, I'm pure consciousness. And of course, this realization changed my life totally. So, in summary, I started my spiritual journey in the year 2002 in the Christian Gnostic movement in Athens. After 10 years, I left this movement because I have I had to leave it for some various reasons. And then very soon after I left this organization, spiritual organization, I met Babaji in the year 2002. And I passed, as I said, about 1.5 years in India, most of them in Babaji Ashram, as well Hairakhan Ashram, Chilianola Ashram, and as well to Swami Sivananda Ashram for some time, and then to Ramana Maharshi Ashram in Tiruvannamalai. And the most critical part of my life and practice was with Babaji in Hairakhan and Chilianola. This every year intense practice in the ashrams of Babaji. And then I was alone. For some time, I have divorced from my wife, my ex-wife now, and I was living for 5 years, more or less, alone, like a monk. Although I was living in Athens in my house, I was living. I abandoned my friends, my worldly life, everything. So I continued to live in my house in Athens, like in the Babaji ashram. I continue my morning to wake up in the morning, to do japanama, to do the arti, to do the meditation. In the afternoon, the same. And of course, I have included in my practice some practices I learned from Swami Sivananda and some practices I was practicing when I was in the Gnostic movement. So I enrich my practice. I have as center the repetition of mantra, most of all, and chanting mantras, etc. And then my practice it is enriched by other various practices. Study and reflection, pranayama as well, hatha yoga, a little bit hatha yoga asanas, but not focusing so much on them, but they help me a lot in various ways. However, now I have stopped to do pranayama for health issues. I cannot, since many years ago, I have stopped to do pranayama due to health issues. And I changed my practice and sadhana in general because of health issues. However, in the center remains the repetition of mantras, God names in general, and arti, and some other practices. I will explain in other occasions, in other presentations. So I continue to practice in my home like in ashram, and that's why this intense period namaste. Salutations to you in Korea. I'm very happy that a person from Korea listened to me. We have this opportunity with this technology to share our experiences, to share our love, to share our energy in all over the world. I'm very happy with this. It is the first time I have this. This happens to me because I say that I now give. I have written some books. I give classes and presentations in YouTube channels and Facebook also, but most now in YouTube channels. In Greece also, I had a very small group doing Babaji's arti and singing, chanting Om Namah Shivaya. But since I gave to India, or after, in reality, after my awakening happened, my awakening, there is not such a thing, my awakening. After awakening happened, I left Athens and I went in not a small city outside Athens, 1 hour from Athens, and I continue there to live then with my partner, who is also it is a devotee of Babaji. This is Indira. Indira, it's a photo here. No, Indira is my partner. She is also a devotee of Babaji, and we have been in India together many times with my partner. Okay, now I was, for some reason, it was closed. So the sound was closed. Okay, now. Okay. A technical problem or something I did. I had little problem with the sound. So I'm very happy to have this connection with Korea and have this opportunity uh, to change this energy and to speak about Babaji, because we are all we are a family. We are a family like human beings, the family of humanity and the family of Babaji as well together. So as I said, I give I do presentations through YouTube channel, and I share my knowledge. Uh, I share my knowledge, my experience to help all those are interested to transform their lives, to transform their minds and hearts. Bole Baba Ki Jai from Australia. I'm very happy that we are connected all um, from all over the world. So we have this opportunity to change energy and connect more deeply. So I give these presentations to share my knowledge and most of all my experience about spiritual life and practice. And now I'm in a position, I'm very happy it's the first time I say this in public, that very soon I have written some books in Greek language. Already I have written 3 books in Greek language. And now I'm happy to announce you are the first that you listen this, that it is very near the date that I will publish my first book in English. I have worked a lot in this since my English is not so well. My wife and speaks much better, and she helped me. And I had also some classes with an English teacher, and I use now a program, and I share this knowledge as well with you. And I will tell you, I use a program called DeepL. You can this translator, it's very accurate. So all those of you that you don't speak very well English, you can use this. I will post it now in the chat. So you can use this translator. It's very accurate. Of course, it's not totally. It's quite impossible, but very accurate. Has nothing to do with any other translator. So you can read all texts in your language with a very great precise. So uh, this book, the name of this book, it is called Liberation with the Power of Mantra, because the power of mantra is what I changed my life. I'm very happy to say that, because Babaji said you have to do Om Namah Shivaya all the time. So I obeyed, I would say, to his suggestion. And this repetition of mantra, which is the main uh, method I practice, changed my life. Of course, it is not the only one. The arty has a very great produces a very high energy, vibrational frequency, high vibrational frequency that purifies our energy field, our mind and heart. And also sometimes only by saying some parts of the arty, I can clean my energy field, and then I can also eliminate the egoic energy that is manifesting in me. But most of the time, I use the mantra, not only Om Namah Shivaya, and the prayer to the divine Shakti. I'm a devotee también en español. I'm a devotee also of divine Shakti, divine mother. I have a very close relation with this aspect, we could say, of God, although God is one, and Shakti and Brahman, or God and Shakti, are under the same principle, the highest principle of life. We humans, we have these affinities, we can say. We feel something, expression of this power, universal power, more as Divine Mother, or as Shiva, or whatever, as Jesus Christ, as Krishna. We have this emotional part that clings more to one expression of the divine power and principle. So I have this devotion to Divine Mother. So I repeat frequently, a lot of time, mantras of the Divine Mother, like Om Sri Durgaya Namaha, Om Sri Durgaya Namaha, Om Sri Hirakandesvarya Namaha, Om Krim Krim Srim Durgaya Namaha, Om En Krim Klin Chamudayevice. This is some of the mantras I repeat. Or I use some Bijas mantras of Divine Mother to combine with Om Namah Shivaya, or with Babaji name. I also repeat frequently Babaji name because I love so much Babaji, and I want to remember him even by repeating his name. Although I leave Babaji in my heart. For me, Babaji is not a person. It's the divine consciousness itself manifesting through this precise, concrete body we call Babaji, or being, because Babaji is not only the physical body, it's a being with that has luminous, subtle bodies of light. It's a being of light. So although Babaji, I leave Babaji in my heart, and I am connected internally with Babaji, I repeat his name because I feel the energy of his name. It's very strong, like Om Namah Shivaya. And I use the name of Babaji with mantras, bija mantras like string or hring, Om Hring Hariakandi Namaha, Om Hring Hariakandi Namaha, Om Sri. Sri is not string, but it's Sri also. It's powerful. It's very specific vibration. Sri, Om Sri Hariakandi Namaha, Om Sri Hariakandi Namaha, Om Sri Hariakandi Namaha. Om Hring Hariakandi Namaha, Om Hring Hariakandi Namaha, Om Hring Om Namah Shivaya, Om Hring Om Namah Shivaya, Om Hring Namah Shivaya, Om Hring Namah Shivaya. I use the mantra, I play with the mantras. As I said, I'm very practical man. I like to practice a lot, and I like to create, to play and create. And I found all these ways to repeat mantras, it's very effective. And so I can share with you that I have purified my mind and heart. I have dissolved in a very great degree all egoic tendencies using the prayer to the Divine Mother and the mantras. And this is what I want to share with all of you. that you can use the mantra. Okay, we repeat the mantra, but we can repeat the mantra in various ways. So to focus more in meditation or to purification or to the dissolution of an egoic tendency. Although the power of mantra is the same, the vibration of the mantra is the same, our inner attitude can focus more on one aspect. That is to use the mantra for meditation, so that to reach this state of meditation, to say the mantra to purify constantly our mind and elevate our vibration, to create sattvic vibration, and also use the mantra in a very specific way to eliminate the tendency that arises in us. For example, the moment the anger arises in us, we can use the mantra in a very specific way that I explain in my book, and I will explain in some presentations I will do in the future if I'm well. I hope to be well to share this knowledge for the benefit of all of you and humanity in general. So I'm happy to announce you again that in a few days I will my first book in English named Liberation with the Power of Mantra. And I say liberation, I mean liberation from the ego. I'm very specific on this. Liberation from the ego, because the whole problem, our all our problems and misery and suffering has as only cause what we call ego. And in my book, explain quite well what this ego is, the main aspects of the ego, how it functions in our psyche. And of course, I give the methods, the practical methods to eliminate these egoistic tendencies or selfish tendencies from our psyche. Using the mantra, most of all, using the mantra and the prayer to the Divine Mother. Of course, you can pray to Babaji, you can pray to the God in any way you feel God, you feel your God in your heart. Doesn't change the prayer. The prayer is a power that can help us to achieve the result we want. In this case, we use the prayer, this power of prayer, to dissolve the egoistic tendencies. So you can also pray to Babaji or to God in general, or to Jesus Christ if you are Christian, or to the Divine Mother as I do, for the elimination of the egoistic tendencies. And use the mantra as well. You can combine mantra and prayer for the dissolution of the egoic tendencies. For me, in my experience, it is a 30 years experience. First, when I was in the Gnostic movement, I used only the prayer to the Divine Mother, because I learned to do this from this school, spiritual school center in Greece, to pray to the Divine Mother for the dissolution of the egoic tendencies. But when I started to use the mantra, of course, repeat the mantra constantly, and also to use the mantra specifically for the elimination of the tendencies, I found this more effective. The combination of mantra with the prayer is the most effective one, means to dissolve the egoistic tendencies and deepen in the connection with our divine essence, the silence presence of consciousness. And there you can meet Babaji. Babaji is not a person. This is my experience. So first I fall in love with Babaji as an appearance. I share with you my experience. First of all, when I saw his photo, I felt in love with him. Because a very unique human form, which at the same time was vibrating a very special light. Then I felt the energy of Babaji. when I was in India and in his ashrams, where the energy is very high, very strong and very high. Then I felt I connected mm, with his energy. And of course, I always felt Babaji in my heart. But now, not now, but after awakening, which happened uh, 14 years ago, I have realized that Babaji is also the consciousness in me. That's why sometimes Babaji says, I'm always with you. How I was wondering, I was thinking, how Babaji can be with us always? Even as an enlightened being, he lives in a place. Then how Babaji is always with us, in us? But this became clear to me after awakening because I realized that Babaji is not a person. It's not even a being. It is the divine consciousness itself, or it is God itself that expresses as the unique form of Hairakhan Babaji. That's why Babaji is always with me. Of course, there is this special energy of Babaji. I don't say no, because Babaji also has a form, a physical form or a energetic, subtle form. That's why he can continue to exist as a being of light, because he has these bodies of light. But as consciousness, because the very essence of every human being, of all beings, of course, but the very essence of every human being is divine consciousness. So Babaji, in essence, is divine consciousness. Us, we are also divine consciousness. So when we realize that this consciousness, we realize what this consciousness is, we have direct experience, clear, deep, direct experience that this consciousness is not in us. And we realize that we are this consciousness, then we can understand easily why Babaji is always with us. Because Babaji reality is this divine consciousness. And everything is this divine consciousness. And this divine consciousness is everywhere. And always in the timeless now. There is no time. Of course, from one point of view, of course there is time, because we have these events that happen in our lives, in all universe. We have happenings, events that unfold. I am 62 years old. I'm not. This body is 62 years old. I was young. I was baby. So what all this process from baby to this body, we call this process time. Is a process of change. Everything in this material world changes. But consciousness is changeless. So time is this change that undergo all beings and everything also, everything, all matter undergo a change, although it may be very quick or slow, depending on the nature of this existence. All things undergo a change. This change, this continuous change, is time. There is no something as time different from this change. And at the same time, this change happens in the timeless now. What is this timeless now? Is our inner self, this inner divine consciousness. This consciousness is timeless. So when we experience this consciousness, and we experience always, we cannot avoid this, but we have the capacity to discern this consciousness from the body, the mind, mental, emotional structures, and the ego itself. So we experience consciousness, but not clearly and deeply. This is the point. And we don't realize that we are this consciousness. We feel and experience that we are this body, mind, me entity. But the grace of Babaji, the blessings of Babaji gave me this, how to say, this blessing moment awakening to happen to me, and realize that Babaji is the consciousness, the ever-present consciousness in me. That's why Babaji is always with us. It's not only a being. It is the divine being of Babaji, but it is also this being. It is also pure divine consciousness. And this consciousness lives here and now in us. In reality, we are this consciousness. We are not the body. That's why Babaji have spoken sometimes, I don't know how many times, about liberation also and union with God. Union with God means to realize and identify ourselves with this divine consciousness. God is not a being. God is everything. God is not a being with infinite power. It is infinite power itself. God is love itself. There is not a being like God that has love. Love itself is God. Wisdom itself is God. Peace itself is God. Consciousness itself is God. So when we experience this love, this peace, this consciousness, we experience God. And we experience Babaji as consciousness. Of course, as I said, Babaji has this specific vibrational frequency, which is unique. For example, when I was in Sivananda Ashram, you can experience this energy of Sivananda. It has a different quality. Although it is pure light, sattvic light, it has a different taste, we can say. And Babaji energy is very different. And you can feel it if you go, especially to the ashram of Babaji, Hairakhan. They have a very unique frequency, this place. Very strong, very luminous, and very unique at the same time. But consciousness is something beyond this. Consciousness is the essence of God is beyond this frequency, because God is all, everything, is all life. So Babaji's consciousness itself is our consciousness. Or our consciousness is Babaji's consciousness, is Krishna consciousness, is Jesus Christ consciousness, is Buddha consciousness. But as beings, they may express this consciousness in a different way, and they play also a different lila. Babaji played a very wonderful lila during the 14 years of his presence in Hairakhan and India in general. However, Jesus Christ played a different lila. He has to pass through the cross to be crucified. Buddha played a different lila. Krishna played a very different lila as well, with the gopis, with Arjuna, and all other things that he played during his human appearance. So every divine being in expression plays a different lila and express the consciousness of God in a different way. That's why we are one. In consciousness, we are in the same one and the same consciousness, which we call Brahman or Parabrahman or God, whatever, or spirit, or being, or Sat, Tat Sat, whatever we can say, whatever name we give to this highest principle, it is consciousness, which lives through us, in us, through us. And reality is us. Only God exists. And we feel like to be different or separate from God due to ignorance. And what is the ignorance in us? It is what we call ego and rajas and tamas qualities. Rajas and tamas gunas in Sanskrit or qualities, and the ego itself, which is a multitude of tendencies, egoic tendencies and programming and patterns, is the ignorance in us. And this ignorance, this ego and rajas tamas qualities prevent us from experiencing or from realizing that what we really are is this divine consciousness. And this consciousness is the only principle that exists. And all forms we perceive through the senses are only expressions of this consciousness. Or appear, as the Advaita Vedanta says, we are not creations, but appearances. What's the difference? Creations create a distance. When we say I create something, that means the creator and the creation are different. When say what we see is an appearance of consciousness, means that this consciousness itself appear as form. It's like this. We can have gold, and the gold can assume the form of a ring. And this is how I call this? I forget now. Silver. But this is silver. The material is silver, but this silver has some people, some men, have given to this silver the form of ring. But this ring in reality is only silver. We can melt this metal and give to it a different form. But no matter the form that this silver will take, it remains silver. Jai Babaji. Bole Baba ki jai. So, likewise, the one consciousness from Hairakhan, I'm very happy that I have this meeting, although it is virtual, and my best wishes to you and all people to Hairakhan. So, consciousness takes this form of the universe and remains, this is the mystery of life, and remains as consciousness, does not lose this essential nature of consciousness. You can contact me everywhere, everywhere, like Babaji. But if you can see in the chat, I have put my blog, my website. In my website, you can find my email. So you can send me an email if you like, and you can tell me what you like to tell me, what you would like to share with me. So I going to stop this presentation here. I'm very happy I had this opportunity. It's the first time I speak about Babaji and my experience with Babaji in public. I'm very happy to do this because it's very. I feel it. First of all, I feel it. No why. There's no why. I felt to do this, to share this experience in public, and probably because this can help some people to understand some things or to give an inspiration, at least some kind of inspiration, and also to renew this connection with Babaji somehow. I don't know. I don't think about this. I do in most of the time. I do what I feel in my heart, and this, if I feel something, I will do it. Of course, if does not harm anyhow the others. And sharing my experience with Babaji, of course, it has only positive, beneficial um, um, effects. So I will finish this presentation, remind you that I will announce the publication of my book in the beginning. I say the publication, but in reality, in the beginning, I will. You can find it only in my website. It will be published there, and I can share it in a um, PDF format form as PDF as ebook, I could say. And then I will see if I can publish this book through a uh, published a publishing organization. I don't know because I'm not a writer. I don't know if it is easy to find an organization that publish books to publish it. I don't know if Babaji wants. It will be. It will happen. It will happen. I have no doubts. If not, you can find this book in the beginning in electronic form, like in book PDF, and then I will see if I can publish it in physical form. And this information, you can find this information in my website, uh, which it is already posted in the chat. You can find this information in my Facebook page, public page. Atman Indiananda is my main Facebook page. You can find this information there. And of course, I will make a presentation of my book uh, in YouTube. I will make a presentation to uh, explain what are the subjects, the topics, and to mention some important parts of the book. Of course, about mantra, repetition of mantra, karma yoga, and some other important aspects of practice. So, I wish you all peace, love, and light in your life. I wish you to realize your true nature in this very life. I wish you to practice with determination and steadfastness, diligently, sincerely, to make as much as possible, of course, intense practice, so that to be free, to free your mind and heart from any programming, conditioning, selfish tendency that prevents you from experience the peace and love and bliss of divine consciousness. I wish you the best in your life. Of course, I wish you health and whatever you want to you aspire. I will finish with Jem Karas. How you say Jem Karas? Bole Baba ki jai. Bole Baba ki jai. Jai Mahavaya ki jai. Jai Hairakhan Babaji ki jai. Bole Baba ki jai. Namaste.